when EA put 2021, I think it was Madden 2021, said their biggest things like we're bringing back the Pro Bowl. That was their biggest selling point, and their answer to why they couldn't have the Pro Bowl in the game was because the game could not handle having 32 helmets on the screen, which is insulting. How
That's bad.
That's bad.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah, that's bad. That's bad.
EA, I'm like, EA, you ruined Mass Effect for Anthem. And I'm like, you can't have 32
Anthem
helmets?
was so bad.
Trash.
So bad.
They
And I'm
ruined
like-
Battlefront 2. EA just fumbles everything.
By the
they
way,
touch.
Battlefront.
Okay. All right, Lani, go crazy, my boy. All right. So, has anyone else played Destiny before?
Yes.
Okay. So, I was from the jump since beta. I was a real big try hard Destiny. Like I looked up my stats today and just look at how many hours I played. So I played from Destiny 1 to Destiny 2, 3,352 hours. That which equates to 4.5 months worth of game time. Back like what in like 2010 or whatever the hell it came out. My life was because I was like out of school, I was traveling people, turning up. So my thing was girls, money, Destiny. That was my system. Like literally, I was at London Fashion Week, fucking Euro bitches, and then getting on raids right after. Like that was my system. Y'all know Char, like she helps us out. We would reset Tuesdays, 3 raids, 3 strikes, 3 nightfalls, like clockwork. Trials of Osiris, run through them hoes. Destiny, Bungie, I put up with so much of your shit for like over a decade. Regurgitated content after regurgitated content. Every DLC, $50, $60, what have you. Content is fire, but again, regurgitated content. We keep on asking for updates, the balance issues. Because if you play Destiny, you know, if you play Crucible, there's always going to be something that's overpowered, whether it's assault rifles, pulse rifles. Hey, if you really know Destiny like that, Red Death Days, one shot, or the Thorn, multi-tool, whatever you want. There's always something that's overpowered, and that's just how instead of actually making a balanced game, they just made everything overpowered. We kept on asking for more content. We kept on asking for more subclasses. We finally got one after what, like 8 years? We asked for more enemies. They lied to us. So they said, like, oh, you want new enemies? We're gonna give you a brand. They built a whole DLC promoting new enemy, and it was this hive and ice. It was bullshit. It was a lie. They lied to us for like $60.
Hurt in his voice.
Then they came up with the Fallen, which is just the Fallen. Now Taken is just reskins of all the old enemies. They're just in black. And they're just goo, but they do all the same shit. Now, after 10, 12 years, they finally come out with a new faction, a new enemy. After I stopped playing for a year, guys. I stopped playing for a damn year. Now, after 13 years, they finally gonna give us a new enemy, and they're saying, like, oh, now it's the perfect time to come back. Now it's the perfect time to come back. For what? So basically, you spend $500 if you played since the jump, $500, then get regurgitated content, and you're telling me, oh, finally something that you guys were promising since 13 years ago, we're finally gonna get, and that's gonna be my time to come back. Fuck you. So Bungie, everyone in Bungie is going to Death Note. I wrote down too many names. I just went on their roster. I just wrote down a shit ton of names. But yeah, I think that Bungie is like one of the worst gaming companies of all time. Yes, they gave us Halo, and I clapped up for them. Thank you for that. But in terms of how they treat their community, in terms of like how they actually give us content, in terms of how they do anything, their business practices, they're like the scum of the earth to me. I feel like I gave like way too much. Like I said, 4.5 months worth of my life I poured into that game over 13 years, and they gave me bullshit. So yeah, I don't know. I try to keep it PG, but no, they can suck a dick and die.
I always remember Destiny. Maybe at that point when Destiny came out, I think Dragon Age came around the same time, Miles, or anybody who's played that. So I was like, Dragon Age is just a spirit game. Plus, we're getting Mass Effect 3. So I never got into Destiny until way later. And I looked at Destiny for what it was. I'm not getting a story. I didn't really care about looter shooters back then because I hadn't played Borderlands yet. Borderlands changed my life in terms of looter shooters. So I took it for what it was, but I know a lot of people who put a lot of time in, like Lani, in that game.
Forgive and forget? What? Have you lost your damn mind, Kai? Hell no, I'm not gonna forgive and forget. Because guess what? When the fuck, what was the second DLC called? What, the House of Wolves? House of Wolves was supposed to be a raid. That's what they promised us for good, like 7 to 8 months, almost a year. They're like, oh, here's the raid. They literally presented us the raid. And they're like, oh, you know what? We're just gonna give you this little game mode, and we're not gonna give you the raid until 11 years later. What kind of shit is that? Because that was the raid that came out last year. That was the original House of Wolves. So no, I'm not gonna forgive and forget. When it comes to like, oh, them messing up their content and like, oh, now like you can exploit something that might cost them money, they'll fix that shit in a day. But when it comes like, oh, you can one shot a boss, they won't fix that thing for a whole year. So no, I'm not gonna forgive and forget, because they don't care about their consumers. They care about themselves. Fuck Destiny.
I think that's gaming studios in general, though. They all kind of move and operate like that. As long as they continue to make money, they're not going to change. It's not just Destiny plagued by it.
Well, the biggest one is sports gamers. They're wholeheartedly getting taken advantage of. Obviously, I think Madden is the biggest example. They're legitimately just getting taken advantage of, to the point where if NCAA 25 is going to sell, it really will, because it hasn't been back in a while. But when they do the exact same thing they're doing to Madden, to NCAA 26, 27, 28, and we're going to be at the same exact spot, I'm telling y'all. And I know people hate it, and I know it's like, well, if I don't play Madden, I can't. What do I play? Go back and play older Maddens, or even in NCAA 14, where they added, some guy legitimately modded in, they call it College Football Revamped, where he modded in the playoffs and all these things, because I'm watching sports gamers get taken advantage of in a way that is, quite frankly, insulting. And I want you guys to understand that Ultimate Team, they don't even let you take the cards that you spent all that money in Ultimate Team to the next game. They just want you to rebuy them shits all over again.
Mm-hmm.
The show is the best sports game out. You can play it for free right now on Game Pass. They treat you so well compared to 2K, compared to Madden. Even FIFA's better, in my opinion, than those. And I'm like, why do you guys just let that do that? Because if that happened, let's just say they make the next Skyrim game or GTA 6 and they do the exact same shit that they're doing in sports games, GTA 6 players would lose their fucking minds.
Doesn't matter. They already do it with GTA 5. They already did it with GTA
online
5.
with online mode, isn't it? With the online
there's no other competitor that's making a good enough game, so the consumer's going to go to the same place.
I don't know, man. And also, ironically, with Madden, the NFL loves to make money hand and foot, yet somehow they don't want to open up competition for a simulation sports game.
Well, they said they
just stick
might.
with EA all the time.
Well, no, actually, they said they might, because I remember conversations with the recent Madden. They were talking about that this might be the last Madden, and then if it doesn't do what we expect, then we're going to open it up. Same thing with 2K, to be honest. So I think a lot of these companies are starting to realize, like, the only game from like 2K or EA that I like, ironically enough, is WWE 2K. Other than that, 2K24, I think is better than 23. Better than
minimal increases. Significantly. It's significantly.
Yeah, there's like things that I still don't like. Obviously, they don't care about the there's still like bugs and stuff with the NBA, my NBA mode, of course. And I think they should take out in the my player mode, if you don't want to play the goddamn story, you shouldn't have to. So I think they should take that completely out, because that's kind of annoying if you want to create a new player. But at the very least, I see improvement from 2K, whereas EA is stagnated. And
they're not great. When EA put 2021, I think it was Madden 2021, said their biggest things, like, we're bringing back the Pro Bowl. That was their biggest selling point, and their answer to why they couldn't have the Pro Bowl in the game was because the game could not handle having 32 helmets on the screen. which is insulting.
Mhm.
How
That's bad.
That's bad.
what do you mean by that?
Yeah, that's bad. That's bad.
EA, I'm like, EA, you ruined Mass Effect for Anthem. And I'm like, you can't have 32
Anthem was
helmets.
so
They
bad.
Trash.
So
They
bad.
And I'm
ruined
like-
Battlefront 2. EA just fumbles everything.
By
they
the
touch.
way, Battlefront
But
2 is
but it's
great
because
now
their
because of all the mistakes they made in
designers,
the
their
beginning.
their teams are lazy, bro. That's the to me.
I think if EA really wants to, they can make a great game. Jedi Fallen Order was great.
I mean, all
Survivor,
these
not as good.
companies can make a great game. To
It's
be
not.
honest,
It's not the devs though.
We
It's the
got mad at
publishers. It's
CD
not the
Projekt
devs.
Red because Cyberpunk was bad, right? Cyberpunk was because it was the first time they failed us. And what did Cyberpunk do? What did CD Projekt Red do? They did
But
all
hold
they
on,
could
but
to
hold
fix
on,
Cyberpunk.
but they did that after they realized that they were coming out with a TV show, and the reality because when the new Cyberpunk, when the latest one first came out, it was one of the buggiest games out. It wasn't even close how buggy it was. It was damn near unplayable. It was unplayable.
I will
So
obviously I'm
when
relying
they're
on you
showing
guys on that.
I'm telling you, no, random. It's
Mhm.
it's the same thing. Like you see all these Fallouts getting
PlayStation took
getting
it
the
off their
update.
store.
Fallout 76 was unplayable.
No, that was unplayable.
Unplayable. And then they come out with these shows, and then it's boom. And they try Saucer Valley. They fixed it, but they didn't fix it. That shit was still buggy as hell.
They weren't ready.
I don't think they were ready to
It's not their fault. It's the publishers. If they pick a deadline, they pick a deadline. It's like
So it's okay to
Drop it
delay
now.
it, guys. It's okay to delay it.
the publishers don't see it that way though.
Ironically, the
But
crazy
you gotta.
part
But
is,
the problem is you can't see it like that, Miles, because you got to roll out. You spending money for a rollout. You losing money the longer you wait. And so if they got a deadline, that's on the developers too. You got to meet the deadline.
to be fair, there's a
When it
big
came to
problem
Cyberpunk,
with
they
crunch.
pushed it back on three separate occasions.
Come on, yeah. Like how long?
You see how big the game? Come on.
And then they took away multiplayer. That was the main thing. They promised multiplayer when they presented Cyberpunk, and they pushed it back 3 times, and then they took away multiplayer.
I think because
was still ass.
a big problem with the video game industry is crunch. Okay, EA is notorious for that. Look at Dragon Age Inquisition, before the DLCs, or Halo 2, or Halo 2. The fact that they had to make that in a year, and Halo 2 is as great as it is mind blowing. So with CD Projekt Red, I'm looking at them because they had probably one of the best reputations. They just made The Witcher 3, which people say is the greatest game of all time.
One of the best games I ever played.
And I'm sitting there like, I understand it's going to cost
sure.
you money, but take the time to do it's okay, because if you nail it the way people ran The Witcher 3 because of how great it was, people would have waited. It would have been okay because they trusted you instead of putting out a buggy game that can't work.
well, the problem isn't that they're worried about whether it's going to be a good game. And Grant, yeah, YouTube is tripping. I just went through it's been tripping for a lot of streams. But the problem is not that. The problem is if they're getting money, how much do they actually care? Like if they know you're buying the game,
Yes.
how much do they actually give a fuck?
And that's
about
why,
what you're saying?
and that's why I'm saying it's on the
you're kidding.
publishers. The devs can't control that. If they say we're dropping this shit today, the devs have to say okay. They can't.
See,
fight it.
But what I'm
buy
saying is,
things on
Miles, you
pre-order.
agree to a deadline. Like when y'all come out, y'all agree to a deadline. That's my only issue. It's like, why agree to a deadline? Because your rollout don't have to be like, you don't have to come out with a trailer and then you got to do media and events. You know what I'm saying? Like, why
And
don't
also,
they
if you get delays, then there should be no excuse.
Yeah, that's
If they push your stuff
Yeah.
back so you can get stuff done, there should be no excuse. Like Cyberpunk had no excuse for being as bad as it was when it first came out.
That's a fact. I agree.
So,
The fact that
very
PlayStation
rarely-
took it off its online store for months because it was unplayable, that's a failure. You're
See,
supposed
I'll
to
say
be
this:
the
I
biggest
very
game of the decade.
rarely buy things on pre-order. I very rarely do that. Like this year, I thought I was gonna buy Rise of Ronin on pre-order, but then I decided against it, and it turned out I was right because Rise of Ronin is not good. I'm sorry, Sauce, it's not good from what I've seen. But
It didn't look good to me. I'm glad I didn't buy it.
it's like,
I only
especially
bought 2 games
when
pre-order in my life, man.
especially when you look at when you're comparing the Rise of Ronin to Ghost of Tsushima, which to this day it's still the most beautiful game I've ever played.
You know how long they were making that game?
Yeah, I understand that. So that's why I'm sitting there with all the good reputation that I'm obviously only focusing on CD Projekt Red and Cyberpunk. You could have waited. You really could have. And people would have once you presented, people would have been flocking to it. So I'd rather you get it right than release things in a buggy mess than fix it over updates. Ubisoft is notorious for that. Ubisoft, Bethesda's the same way because they can keep using an older
They're
engine.
using Unreal 3. What are we doing?
Yeah, I want to say, but Zelda's a whole other joint. Yeah.
They're just stupid. They're incompetent.
That's a whole.
Now
that's
that's dev incompetency.
Yeah,
You want to
yeah,
blame dev?
It's not even that. You've seen the whole thing around it. You think the WWE stuff is bad. Go look at what Blizzard, Bethesda and all that, and the head people of there are doing.
Blizzard got
yeah,
some
yeah.
stuff going on, but they got all the money in the world, so they just.
They got
they
a lot going
But
on.
before we move on to the
I ain't
main
gonna
topic-
lie, no Blizzard disrespect. You talking to a decade-long World of Warcraft veteran? They
That's
still
great.
pushing out that heat.
Tell them niggas at the top to stop